It is 3 o'clock. This is Queen City News Plus Live, coming to you live from the Blue Room on this Tuesday, January 20th. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Derek Donald, alongside anchor Morgan Francis, meteorologist Brandon Lawson, and in the director's seat today, we have Kevin Pinto Rivera.
Hold on tight.
Yeah, we do want to start out with some of the latest developments that have been happening, especially over the weekend in Greenland. This still continues to be a bit of a story that's coming out of it, especially with President Trump's wanting that island territory basically in U.S. hands.
Yeah, this is getting messy.
It is.
This is getting really messy. So Trump on Monday linked the whole Greenland push to his failure to receive a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Sent a message to Norway's prime minister saying, it was a longer quote than this, but it said at one point, "I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace." Went on to say that Denmark cannot protect the land from Russia and China. And that basically, why do they have a right to ownership anyway? Yeah, and those comments aren't sitting well with others who are kind of watching all of this unfold. We'll get into kind of some of the questions surrounding Trump himself a little bit later in the show. Yeah. But amid those threats, aircraft from the U.S.-Canada Defense Organization, NORAD, is headed to a base on Greenland today. Thousands of residents there are marching. Just for perspective, there are 56,000 people who live on Greenland. But there's kind of multiple angles to all of this.
Yeah, the protests, let's start off with those since that was the thing is still fresh in mind. Thousands of people protesting on an island that has around 56,000 people, which basically means a good portion of the population was out there. And they were basically all saying, hey, let us decide what we want to do with where we live.
Greenland is not for sale, I think was one of their chants.
Yes. And in addition to that, there have been other forces from the European Union who have been helping out, sending on their own forces as well. Basically, not necessarily in retaliation or necessarily in response, but as part of this an extra security push, just in case things do get out of hand. It's more of a thing that they're doing just basically out of a sense of precaution more than anything right now. But this also comes as President Trump is also floating the idea of tariffs for countries that are not in support of his plan to take over Greenland. And he still says that this acquisition is, in his words, vital to national security. Now, we do need to mention here, I mean, there's like a lot of back and forth. And as you mentioned there was also the letter to Norway about the Nobel Peace Prize.
Emmanuel Macron, the French president, has chimed in saying that he doesn't really understand what Trump is doing on Greenland. And you mentioned the tax, 10% import tax on goods from 8 European countries is what Trump just announced. Yeah. He, as you mentioned, he keeps saying that he needs to protect the U.S. From China and Russia. And, as we've been talking on this show, there are rare earth minerals that have been untapped in Greenland. Yes. 80% of rare earth imports into the U.S. come from China. So I think there's kind of this push to control that and make sure that China doesn't get even more of a hold on rare earth minerals.
Yeah, we should also mention right now that there is a White House press briefing where President Trump is listing his list of accomplishments that is happening at the White House as we speak. Now, as far as whether or not he's talked about Greenland, he hasn't so far. At least when we stepped in here, he had not talked about anything really foreign policy. He was basically going over his list of accomplishments since today actually does mark 1 year since he took office again for his second term.
On all of this, on this note, we talked about the letter that he sent and saying that he no longer feels an obligation to think purely of peace. Yeah. Now we have a CNN medical analyst, Dr. Jonathan Reiner, basically wanting to, questioning Trump's fitness for office.
Yes. This doctor, by the way, used to be the doctor for former Vice President Dick Cheney. Now, this doctor is called for a congressional inquiry into President Trump's mental fitness. And part of it has to do with that letter that he sent to Norway over the weekend, because this actually got a lot of reaction from people, from Democrats and Republicans who, shall we say, have not necessarily ever been in support of President Trump. But they're basically saying, hey, it's like he's basically equating it with, the Democrats and those Republicans, they were basically saying he's equating it with a grudge match because he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. He's doing this and as a result, a lot of people, at least on social media, and a lot of the responses to this have been okay, what exactly is going on here?
Right.
And they're asking more of that as far as not only what President Trump's reasoning is, but also going after like, okay, they are even bringing up the 25th Amendment issue.
Right. That was there was a rep from Arizona, and I have that quote.
Yeah.
It's
Democrat,
from
by the
X,
way.
but
Yeah.
well, that it almost goes without
Yes,
saying
yes.
usually. But the president of the United States is extremely mentally ill and is putting all of our lives at risk. The 25th Amendment, Derek, as you mentioned, exists
Yes.
for a reason. We need to invoke it immediately. So that was a representative from Arizona. Reiner, by the way, the doctor, has previously raised questions about Trump's fitness. Said something about his aspirin routine.
Yeah.
That all came out last month. Trump, meanwhile, says that he is in perfect health and that he aced his last cognitive exam. So
it's still, the questions still remain out there, and the questions have been in place for some time, we should mention, but they kind of reached a bit more of a fever pitch over the weekend. Next story here locally, there's this something that is kind of disturbing that actually happened in Shalom Park. And if you're not familiar with Shalom Park, it's an area off Providence Road near Sardis that basically is a Jewish center. And not only that, do they have a community center, they have
a ton of events. That's where Camp Soar is every year.
They also have a preschool, a day school, 2 temples. It's basically a Jewish community center. And
it's huge.
Yes. And apparently over the weekend, or at least sometime last night, if not this morning, there were a bunch of signs, flyers, basically put up on buildings and some structures around there that had some Nazi imagery. And the Jewish Federation of Greater Charlotte, they did confirm that there were multiple of these, multiple flyers. That were
and it wasn't just a Nazi symbol. There was a noose on the flyer as well, and then a reference to a hanging. Reps with the Jewish Federation of Greater Charlotte said, let's be clear, this imagery is not political speech, protest or provocation. It is hate. It is intimidation, and it's intended to unsettle, threaten, and dehumanize members of the community. So they're trying to figure out basically who put these flyers up, and they're saying that everything's been documented, it will be investigated, and they'll get to the bottom of it.
Yes, the image that we received, we're still working on getting clearance on it because of some rules we basically have to follow in getting clearance on photos. The images, by the way, have since been taken down. The flyers have since been taken down. But what was on there themselves, as you mentioned, it was a Nazi symbol and a noose, and makes reference to hanging Jewish people, and it's disturbing in itself. And we should also say here too, we don't know yet whether CMPD is actually doing an investigation into this, but it's something that will definitely catch the attention of possibly some other authorities, and likely also the Anti-Defamation League. Who is usually on top of things like this when incidents like this happen. But again, the Jewish Federation did confirm that the signs were discovered on that property. Also, this week we could be getting some details as early. We don't have an update yet, but on the plane crash that involved Greg Biffle and his family up in Statesville that happened last month. We are nearing that 30-day mark, and sometime usually between 4 to 6 weeks after a crash, plane crash, we do get this preliminary result, or at least preliminary details of an investigation, which could be coming quite literally any day now. We kind of want to emphasize that because today, this is going to be around this time now that we would actually be getting that information.
Right, and the full report could take, it could take months, it could
18
take 18 months.
18 months usually.
So this preliminary report will give us the best idea of what happened on the plane. Again, as a reminder, NASCAR legend Greg Biffle, his wife Christina, and 2 kids were among the 7 who were on that plane that went down at Statesville Regional Airport a week before Christmas. So just a tragic thing that happened.
And the public memorial service was last week too.
It was last week, and then they had the burnout for Biff that a lot of people who knew him and were fans of him too went out to see. So I think a lot of people have been wondering the past month what went wrong and what caused this plane to go down, and we're hoping to learn soon so there can be some clarity for those who love everyone involved. Over to South Carolina, the state health department notified staff over at Clemson University that they have a measles case that happened. They didn't say if it was a student, but it said an individual associated with the university. So it's one person. They are in isolation, but this, we've been tracking the numbers in South Carolina.
Especially upstate South Carolina.
Yeah, Spartanburg County is kind of where this measles outbreak is centered. And at last check, there have been 558 cases there centered around Spartanburg County. So those who, thought to be exposed to the virus will be contacted via email from officials there.
Yeah, and most of the cases have been centered around Spartanburg. However, we should mention Clemson is 3 counties to the east, or 3 counties to the west, excuse me. And you have to bypass Greenville to actually get to Clemson, a few other counties. And the fact that it happened there, not necessarily the fact that measles has been discovered there, not necessarily much of a surprise, but it is definitely a concern. And the university did make a mention of saying that around 98% of campus students do have proof of immunity.
Just going to say that too.
So, but there is that danger for that other 2%. They don't necessarily want an outbreak there, at least on campus.
Yeah. Let's get to something a little bit more lighthearted, and that's the weather. As we take a live look at uptown Charlotte from our Arlington camera, just a beautiful day out there. Not a cloud in the sky. Is it 45 degrees in the upper right-hand corner?
Yes.
A little chilly out there.
A little chilly out there, and it could be getting colder because, well, it was awfully cold last night. It was awfully cold a little bit over the weekend. Let's bring in Brandon right now. I mean, let's see. I think we were anticipating last night, I think it was supposed to be getting down to like, 17, 18. I think was the initial
low
forecast.
20s.
Yeah, but it wound up being the low 20s. It wound up being, shall we say, a little uncomfortable outside.
Oh, yeah.
But how's it going to be looking tonight? Is it going to be at least somewhat warmer-ish?
Yeah, so just another bitter cold night. Temperatures dropping back into the 20s. Going to be very cold out there. Make sure you're bundling up. It's going to get even colder as we get towards the weekend. Big weather story really for the rest of this week is just going to be talking about the upcoming weekend where we do have a winter storm incoming as we head into the weekend. Pinpoint weather alert days are up for both Saturday and Sunday. Winter storm heading our way. I expect the biggest impacts with this winter storm to come really during the afternoon, evening on Saturday and through the day on Sunday. Snow, sleet, freezing rain, all going to be a possibility with this. We're still trying to figure out, though, how much snow and ice we could see and the timing of precipitation types. So we'll be getting more into that here in about 5 minutes or so. First, I want to show you a look outdoors today. High pressure's in control. We've got clear skies, dry conditions, plenty of sunshine today. We're actually a little bit warmer than I expected. Upper 40s this afternoon here. 48 in Charlotte, 47 at Rock Hill, 48 in Lancaster. We've got lower 40s up towards the foothills. So I expected today to be a hair colder than yesterday, but honestly, the sun's helping us out here. We've got 20s in the mountains, though. It is bitterly cold there with those wind chills likely in the teens. Here's a look at lows tonight. Back in the teens tonight in the mountains. We've got teens for the foothills and low 20s around the Charlotte area. So again, it's going to be another very cold start as you're out the door tomorrow. Be sure to bundle up just as much as you did this morning. You're definitely going to need to do so. A lot of heavy coats, gloves, the toboggan. Make sure the kiddos have all exposed skin covered up tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, increase in clouds, but I expect high temperatures will likely crack into the lower 50s. But this will really be one of the warmer days of the week. We're going to get much colder as we head towards the weekend, including tracking that significant winter storm that we could be expecting here in the Carolinas this week, and all that coming up in just a little bit.
It's
guys.
got the newsroom buzzing already, Brandon. We're getting prepared for it.
Yes.
It's got Carolinas buzzing.
Yes. Speaking of winter storm, there was it's been hitting other parts of the country, and in fact, in Michigan, it actually led to a 100-car pileup, more than 100 cars, in fact. Got video of some of that actually coming up. This is Queen City News Plus Live.
Welcome back to Queen City News Plus Live on this Tuesday. It is a little bit warmer out before we have what's coming ahead to the weekend.
Yes.
Brandon was talking about it. We're going to get to the full forecast in just a little bit. But Derek, when it comes to the Warner Brothers deal, Netflix has re-entered the chat.
Yes.
This has been the most exciting little saga here of the purchase of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, it doesn't appear that they really ever left. They were kind of the one that was kind of preferred in this deal because Paramount has been making a bid for Warner Brothers Discovery.
They had that hostile takeover attempt.
And they've also taken it to court as well. But Netflix has basically upped their offer to all cash. Now, basically, what does this mean? Well, it basically means it adds a little bit more leverage for accepting the deal because it doesn't have to really go through any creditors. It doesn't have to go through it. But it basically makes it a little bit easier.
Cash is king.
A, and also B, more advantageous for the shareholders. Now, we should mention too that these deals are a little bit different. So Netflix wants Warner Brothers Studio, the film library, and the streaming business, i.e. HBO and HBO Max. The Paramount version of this would actually take all of Warner Brothers Discovery, and all of Warner Brothers Discovery includes things like CNN, TLC, Discovery Channel, HGTV, Animal Planet, Cartoon Network. The thing about it is, though, is that we still don't know where this will go, but no matter what happens, we do need to emphasize when we've done these stories in the past, no matter what happens, this is going to be changing whatever you're going to be seeing, not only on your screens, but also what you see at the cinemas, because that's just how this is going to go.
Yeah. Moving on to some sad news out of the fashion world, Valentino has passed away at the age of 93.
At the age of 93,
so,
yes.
But, you know, it's just an Italian designer, really the king of the red carpet.
Yes, and he's known for his, and you saw that image just a second ago, you're going to see another image coming up in just a moment, the Valentino red that he was known for in some of his designs. Now, he designed stuff for Jackie O, Julia Roberts. Princess Diana was also credited as a friend. That's Valentino red.
Right.
And if you're familiar with that, he was basically a force for the last 50 years in the fashion industry. And the direct quote here, and this is hit from him, "I know what women want.
They want to be beautiful." Yep, famous quote.
That is one of the major things that he was known for, and you would be surprised if you never saw, if you didn't come across a dress that was his on any red carpet thing that was ever done.
Yeah, he's really just a master of his craft, known for, you know, beautiful bows, ruffles, lace embroidery, really just some iconic designs. Valentino the brand is not going anywhere.
Yes.
He actually retired in, I believe it was 2005, so quite some time ago.
And the company itself is owned by a bunch of other people right now. But the legacy, for lack of better words, still remains. There's this pileup that happened in Michigan that happened yesterday, actually. It was more than 100-car pileup. And it's due to the snow there. As you can see from the video here, it is absolutely massive. The person who took this video, by the way, he said you could barely see the cars in front of him. The snow was so bad, but you could hear the bangs and booms that were behind him.
Just continues. I mean, when you have a crash like that on a highway that's covered in snow and ice, I mean, there's no stopping. I'm going to give you the spoiler alert on this one. No deaths. Yeah. And that's so surprising in a situation like this when you have 30 there were 30 semis involved.
Yes.
And the aerial picture of all these cars and semis piled up and just the fact that no one passed away from this is truly incredible. And numerous injuries, but no deaths.
But there was also like you saw a car there actually just a couple of moments ago. That was just smushed up right up against one of those 18-wheelers. It kind of goes to show exactly kind of how bad this was. It looks like an 18-wheeler that jackknifed right there, which also is something. It apparently and obviously yes, it took several hours. It's still a bit of an issue there.
Both. Directions of the interstate obviously closed as they work to clean up this mess. Let's bring in meteorologist Brendan Lawson, because I think when people talk about snow that happens in the Midwest, the assumption is that, oh, that's headed our way and we're going to get it next. And we've been talking about that there is some snow on the horizon, but maybe not that snow, right?
But there's also the whole, it never snows in Charlotte until it does.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's been over almost 4 years since we've seen an inch of snow here in the Queen City.
Yeah,
and
I remember that was fun.
I will say, I do think we're going to break that streak, but I do think we're also going to have to deal with some other precipitation types too, and that's what makes it so difficult tracking this winter storm as we head into the weekend, is that I think we're going to have several different types of precipitation other than just all snow. So the timing of this for this weekend appears to be Saturday afternoon and through the day on Sunday. Now, what are we tracking? Snow, sleet, and freezing rain all going to be on the table with this winter weather event. So dangerous travel and even possible outages are going to be a concern when it comes down to the impacts. Now, the travel will be treacherous regardless of what falls, but the outages obviously could go up or down just depending on how much ice we see with this. And that's really what's undetermined, how much snow and ice we're going to see out of this in the timing of when we're going to see those precipitation types. That's the other thing that we're going to be monitoring. So why is it so difficult with the precipitation types here? Well, we've got an area of low pressure that's going to be essentially riding up the coast here. You've got several different types of precipitation that can fall based on where that low is. If that low is further east, well offshore, you're wrapping in more colder air and you're getting an all snow event. However, if that area of low pressure hugs the coast, you can get more warmer air in the mid levels, and that allows for more of that icy mix before some of that precipitation falls to the surface. This will not be an all rain event, though. We're going to have either an icy mix or all snow out of this, and I'm leaning more towards that icy mix with that area of low pressure hugging the coast. So when we look at winter weather forecasting, we're at the timing / type of storm phase. So we're about 4 or 5 days out now from this beginning. So snow, ice, and freezing rain a concern. 1 to 3 days out, I'm thinking more so around Thursday, Friday, we'll be able to start detailing the forecast when it comes down to how much of what we could see. So this is a look at one model. This is the American model. You see Saturday afternoon, here comes the snow starting, likely a little bit of a wintry mix in that. But notice most of the freezing rain and sleet stays a little bit further south of I-85 with this particular model run. And it continues through Sunday with snow. Now, this is our in-house model here. Notice, same system, same area here, but it's bringing in a little bit more of that freezing rain and sleet mix Saturday afternoon and continuing that freezing rain and sleet mix pretty much all the way up towards the I-40 corridor and areas south of that, and even into Sunday, continuing with that wintry mix. That'd be worst case scenario when it comes down to the storm, because that could mean more of an ice storm versus snow. So I just want to get you focused on thinking, hey, this isn't going to be an all snow event. This is going to be, again, the potential for ice as well. So temperatures, at least the next couple of days, likely in the low to mid 50s, 40s on Friday. And the other thing with this winter storm is that it's going to get really cold. It's going to stay cold, not just through the weekend, but also in the early next week with Arctic air really pumping in. So something we'll have to watch after the storm. High pressure in control, though. Temperatures in the 40s right now, 20s in the mountains. Lows tonight dropping back into the 20s, and then tomorrow I do expect temperatures to likely be in the low 50s. Again, pinpoint weather alerts are in place for the weekend. That's when that winter storm will be beginning for the afternoon and likely continuing through Sunday. And the bitter cold air could make recovery a little bit prolonged, especially with some of that melting.
I still can't get over the lows.
Yeah,
12 next week.
Teens, yeah. I mean, we're just talking about Arctic air. So
there's this thing called a winter jacket, hats and mittens.
Oh, I've got plenty of winter jackets. I just don't like bringing them out. I just don't like bringing them out. Yeah. Okay. Coming up, we got this really sweet, kind of funny, entertaining video that you just have to see of a deputy trying to chase down an emu. And what he did to actually finally catch him. Yeah, that is coming up next. This is Queen City News Plus Live. Okay, so this is just the cutest thing ever. We're just going to let some of this play out, but we're also going to jump in at a couple of points here because the sound on this is also very, very sweet. Take a look.
Come here. Come here.
So this deputy trying to capture an emu. It's on the side of the road.
Come
This is
on.
in Florida, by the way, earlier this month.
I was just trying to remember, where did this happen again?
Near
Florida.
St.
Okay.
Augustine. Yeah. So tries to get him, but it doesn't work. So
Got one on.
eventually finds him in some shrubs. Was able to put something around him, kind of
don't
get
bite
a
me.
leash on him.
Don't
Clearly not happy.
Clearly not happy. But
a full set of cuffs.
wound up
Look at
having to
that.
put handcuffs on his
Handcuffs.
talons so he would not attack back.
Yeah, say hello.
Say hello.
You ain't going nowhere.
Do you remember there were years ago that there was an emu on the loose?
And
And it was like a days-long
Yeah.
chase to try to catch this thing. So
Yeah.
I always love it when there's another one because it reminds me of that. But this thing is cute. They eventually did catch the emu. Obviously, they had it in handcuffs.
Yes, the sheriff's office there responded to a runaway emu back on January 9th. In fact, they secured the emu. The corporal there who caught him, though. In my 25 years, I've never handcuffed an emu. This is definitely a new one for me. So he made every effort to detain the emu without causing harm or injury to the animal. The emu was reunited with its owners and returned safely. All criminal charges against the emu.
You know what? I bet you that deputy was actually related because, normally they're dealing with alligators and they have to wrangle an alligator.
Yeah,
in
especially
Florida.
that part of Florida. Yeah.
And this was probably, a lighthearted day for him.
Yeah, but the little booger was like nipping at him too a few times. You could actually see it tried but the handcuffs are like
Pretty
we're gonna say the handcuffs in just a second. They just so cute. Just that. But he actually had a reason for doing it. It wasn't for show. Wasn't for show.
I thought it was for show when I first saw it, but it was pretty cool.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for watching Queen City News Plus live on this Tuesday. We hope that last video leaves you in a good mood.
See you tomorrow.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.